The Concordat's last functioning transmission array flickered in the dim emergency lighting. Ambassador Tahoe's three-fingered hands trembled as he encoded the final distress signal. Around him, the command center buzzed with quiet desperation. "Power reserves at 17%, reported a technician, her voice barely audible over the distant rumble of explosions. Tahoe nodded grimly. Behind him, Science Director Jiwoo monitored the array systems, her typically bright eyes now dull with exhaustion. The last 3 days had been a nightmare. The Dominion's fleet had systematically destroyed their orbital defenses, their military installations, and most of their communication network. "The message is ready," Tahoe announced. "I've included everything we discussed." Jiwoo moved beside him, scanning the transmission package. It contained compressed data about their 3 species, the plant-like Nari, the aquatic Suk, and their own people, the avian Wan, along with star charts marking their territories and colonies. Most importantly, it detailed the Dominion's weapons systems, battle tactics, and the ruthless expansion that had already consumed 17 independent worlds. "Do you really think anyone will answer?" Jiwoo asked, her voice low so others wouldn't hear their doubt. Tahoe's feathered crest flattened against his skull. "We have to believe someone might. We've tried negotiation. We've tried surrender. We've tried fighting. This is all we have left." The room fell silent as Tahoe's claw hovered over the transmission button. Everyone understood the risk. The message would broadcast their location to anyone listening, including potentially worse threats than the Dominion. But extinction left little room for caution. "This may reach no one," Tahoe said, "but we must try." He pressed the button. The ancient array hummed, drawing on precious power reserves as it beamed their desperate plea into the unexplored regions of space, away from the Dominion's expanding empire. "Transmission complete," Jiwoo confirmed. "May the stars guide it to friendly eyes." An alarm blared through the facility. The main view screen flickered to life, showing 3 Dominion warships entering orbit. "They found our last outpost," someone whispered. Tahoe straightened his posture, smoothing his ceremonial robes. "Then we've sent our message just in time. Now we prepare for whatever comes next." 217 light-years away, Lieutenant Jinwoo stretched in his chair, fighting off the boredom of his midnight shift at Earth's Mariana Deep Space Array. The massive facility, built into the deepest part of the Pacific Ocean for radiation shielding, monitored the cosmos for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, a mission that had produced exactly 0 results in its 70-year history. Jinwoo sipped his coffee and glanced at his screens, expecting the usual cosmic background noise. Instead, he nearly choked on his drink. "What the hell?" he muttered, setting down his cup and leaning forward. The primary detection grid showed an unusual pattern, a series of pulses coming from the direction of the Aquila constellation. He enhanced the signal, watching as the computer began analyzing the regular, structured sequence. "Too regular," Jinwoo whispered to himself. "Too purposeful." His fingers flew across the keyboard, running the standard verification protocols. First, he checked for known human sources, satellites, deep space probes, or classified military transmissions. Nothing matched. Next, he ran a comparison against natural phenomena, pulsars, quasars, and other cosmic objects known to emit regular signals. Again, no match. The signal continued, repeating its complex pattern. Jinwoo's heart raced as he initiated the SETI emergency protocol, something no one had ever seriously expected to use. He picked up the phone, dialing his supervisor's number with shaking fingers. "Sir, this is Lieutenant Jinwoo at Station 6. You need to come down here immediately." He paused, barely believing the words he was about to say. "Sir, you need to see this pattern. It's structured. Too structured to be natural." Captain Minjin arrived 15 minutes later, his hair disheveled and eyes still heavy with sleep. By then, Jinwoo had assembled a preliminary analysis. "Show me," Minjin demanded without preamble. Jinwoo pointed to the main screen. "The signal began approximately 43 minutes ago. It repeats every 9 minutes and contains what appears to be mathematical sequences, prime numbers, the value of pi, and several universal constants. Minjin frowned. Could it be a prank? Or a glitch in our systems? I've already checked. The signal is being detected by 3 separate array stations. It's real, sir. And there's more. Jinwoo pulled up another screen. The transmission contains data packets. Our computers are still working to decode them, but the structure suggests language, or at least an attempt at communication. Minjin stared at the screens, his expression shifting from skepticism to wonder. Have you notified anyone else? Not yet, sir. Protocol states that the station commander must verify before escalating. Minjin nodded slowly, then reached for the secure phone. I'm calling the director. And Jinwoo. Not a word about this to anyone. By dawn, the Mariana facility had transformed. Scientists, military personnel, and government officials filled the command center, all focused on the mysterious signal that continued to repeat its message every 9 minutes. Dr. Yuna, the lead sinolinguist, stood before the assembled group. We've made significant progress decoding the transmission. It contains mathematical principles, basic physical constants, and what appears to be pictographic information. The structure suggests an intelligent creator trying to establish communication with unknown recipients. So it's definitely not natural, asked Defense Secretary Park. No, sir. This is artificial. This is intentional. And most importantly, she paused, her eyes shining with excitement. This is alien. The room erupted in murmurs and exclamations. Decades of searching, hoping, and wondering if humanity was alone in the universe. And now they had their answer. Admiral Wu Jin, the highest-ranking military officer present, raised his hand for silence. What exactly does the message say, Doctor? Dr. Yuna's excitement dimmed slightly. We're still working on the full translation, but the core meaning seems clear. It's a distress call. Whoever sent this is asking for help. Help against what? Someone asked. We're not entirely sure yet, but the message contains repeated references to something called the Dominion. Based on the accompanying visuals, it appears to be some kind of aggressive force or empire. The message includes technical specifications that might be weapons or defense systems. Admiral Wu Jin's expression hardened. So our first contact with alien life is them dragging us into their war. With respect, Admiral, Jinwoo spoke up unexpectedly. They're not dragging us anywhere. They've sent a message asking for help. Whether we respond is entirely our choice. The room fell silent as everyone contemplated the implications. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for generations, but no one had imagined it would come like this, a desperate plea from across the stars. How far away is the source? President Hyjin finally asked. Approximately 200 light years, Dr. Yuma answered. So this message was sent 200 years ago? Secretary Park asked. No, sir, Jinwoo corrected. The signal appears to be transmitted through some kind of faster-than-light medium. Our analysis suggests it was sent less than a day ago. Admiral Wu Jin raised an eyebrow. That's technology far beyond our capabilities. Yes, Dr. Yuna agreed. Which makes whoever sent it either potential saviors with advanced technology we could learn from, or they've made us a target for something worse. President Hyjin stood up. I want a full briefing in 1 hour, and prepare a draft response. We need to decide if humanity is ready to answer this call. As the meeting dispersed, Lieutenant Jinwoo remained at his station, watching the signal repeat its pattern. Somewhere across the vast emptiness of space, someone had reached out in desperation. Someone had asked for help. And for the first time in human history, they knew for certain they were not alone in the universe. The United Earth Council chamber hummed with tense energy as Dr. Hiron stood before the semicircular table. Behind her, a large screen displayed the decoded alien message, its strange symbols translated into human language. The 50 council members, representing every nation on Earth, watched in silence as she began her presentation. The signal is definitely artificial and definitely not human, Dr. Hiron explained, her voice steady despite her racing heart. It contains mathematical sequences, star coordinates, and what appears to be a warning. She tapped her tablet, and new images appeared on the screen. Diagrams of what looked like warships, weapon systems, and battle formations. We believe this is a distress call from a civilization under attack. They identify themselves as the Concord 8, a coalition of 3 species sharing several star systems in the Aquila sector, and they're facing extinction at the hands of something they call the Dominion. Admiral Doyen leaned forward in his seat, his weathered face tightening with concern. A trap, or a genuine plea for help? Dr. Hiren met his gaze. Our analysis team believes it's genuine. The message includes technical details about their communication system, cultural information, and biological data that would be unnecessarily complex for a trap. But if it is a trap, countered Representative Sunny, we could be walking into our first interstellar war. And if it's not, said General Minji, rising from her seat, we're ignoring the first confirmed intelligent life reaching out to us. And they're asking for our help. Her eyes swept across the room. But if it's real, and we do nothing? The council chamber erupted into heated debate. Some representatives argued for caution. Humanity had only achieved faster than light travel 5 years ago, and their technology was still untested for long journeys. Others insisted that making contact was worth any risk. President Taewoo finally raised his hand for silence. We have 3 options before us. First, we can ignore the message. Second, we can respond with a transmission but take no physical action. Or third, we can send an expedition to investigate in person. If we go, Admiral Doyen said, we should be prepared for anything. Peaceful contact or confrontation. How long would the journey take? Asked the council member. Dr. Hiren consulted her notes. With our current FTL drives, approximately 19 days to reach the coordinates provided in the message. President Taewoo nodded thoughtfully. And our military readiness? Admiral Doyen straightened. We have 5 deep space vessels equipped with FTL drives. They were designed for exploration, but all have defensive capabilities. If authorized, we could depart within 2 weeks. The council voted after hours of deliberation. The decision: humanity would answer the call. The launch site buzzed with activity as dawn broke over the Pacific Ocean. Massive floating platforms supported 5 sleek starships, their hulls gleaming in the morning light. The UES Pathfinder, the flagship of humanity's modest space fleet, towered above the rest. Admiral Doyen stood on the bridge, watching his crew perform final checks. At 58, he had never expected to command humanity's first contact mission. His career had focused on Earth's defense, not reaching for the stars. Yet here he was, about to lead 5 ships and 300 crew members into the unknown. Admiral, all ships report ready for departure, announced Commander Jimin, his first officer. Doyen nodded. And our special passenger. Dr. Hiren is settled in the science bay with her team. Good. She understands these aliens better than anyone. We'll need her expertise. Doyen activated the ship-wide communication system. All personnel, this is Admiral Doyen. In a few minutes, we will make history as the first humans to journey beyond our solar system. Our mission is clear: investigate the distress call and determine if we can offer assistance to the Concordat. We don't know what we'll find, but we go prepared for peace or war. Remember your training. Trust your teammates and represent humanity with courage and compassion. He paused, feeling the weight of the moment. Launch sequence begins in 5 minutes. Secure all stations. The journey through FTL space was disorienting. Time seemed to stretch and compress, and the view outside the ships showed only swirling colors that hurt the eyes if watched too long. Most crew members avoided the observation decks, preferring the artificial lighting and normal physics of the ship's interior. Dr. Hiren spent the journey studying the alien message, searching for any details that might help them prepare for first contact. Admiral Doyen joined her on the 12th day. Any new insights? He asked, accepting the cup of coffee she offered. Several, she replied, bringing up a holographic display. I'm increasingly convinced the Concordat consists of 3 very different species who evolved on separate planets. Their language contains distinct structures that suggest different biological perspectives. Will that complicate communication? Actually, it might help. They already have experience communicating across species boundaries. They might be better prepared for contact with us than we are with them. Doyen nodded thoughtfully. And this Dominion. Any clearer picture of what we might be facing? Dr. Hiron's expression darkened. The message describes a highly militarized empire with technology significantly more advanced than either ours or the Concordats. They appear to have a strict case system and expand through conquest rather than exploration or diplomacy. So if we help the Concordat, we're potentially making an enemy of this Dominion. Yes. But from what I can tell, the Dominion would eventually find Earth anyway. They're systematic in their expansion. Doyen stared at the disturbing images of Dominion warships. Better to meet them on our terms than wait for them to discover us unprepared. On the 19th day, Commander Jimin's voice came over the intercom. Admiral to the bridge. We're approaching the exit point. Doyen found his command crew tense but ready. The 5 Earth ships had maintained perfect formation throughout the journey. All ships, prepare for transition to normal space, he ordered. Shields at maximum. Sensors at full sweep. We don't know what we're dropping into. The swirling colors outside faded as the ship slowed. Stars reappeared, first as streaks, then as fixed points of light. Transition complete, reported the navigation officer. We've arrived at the coordinates. The main view screen activated, showing them their destination. A yellow star burned at the center of a system with 7 planets. The 3rd planet, blue and green like Earth, showed signs of civilization, orbital structures, artificial satellites, and the unmistakable lights of cities on its night side. Life signs, Doyen asked. Millions on the 3rd planet, confirmed the sensor officer, and multiple spacecraft in orbit. 2 different design types, sir. Dr. Hiron hurried onto the bridge, her eyes widening at the screen. The larger vessels matched Dominion designs from the message. The smaller ones are likely Concordat ships. Doyen frowned. So we've arrived in the middle of their conflict. Sir, interrupted the communications officer, we're detecting a transmission directed at us. It's using similar patterns to the distress call. Put it through, ordered Doyen. The view screen changed to show an alien face. The being had feathered scales around a beaked face, with large eyes set on either side of a narrow head. When it spoke, the computer translated its words into a mechanical voice. Unknown vessels, you have entered Concordat space. Identify yourselves immediately. This system is under attack. If you cannot defend yourselves, we strongly advise immediate withdrawal. Dr. Hiron stepped forward. Admiral, that's a one of the Concordat species mentioned in the message. Doyen nodded and straightened his uniform. Open a channel. The communication officer worked his controls. Channel open, sir. Doyen faced the screen, aware that he was about to speak the first words from humanity to an alien civilization. This is Admiral Doyen of the United Earth Fleet. We received your distress call and have come to investigate. We are prepared to offer assistance if needed. The alien's eyes widened, its feathered crest rising in what might have been surprise. You came because of our message. You received our call for help. We did, Doyen confirmed, and we're here to answer it. For a moment, the alien seemed too shocked to respond. Then it recovered, its posture straightening. I am Commander Seo of the Concordat Defense Force. Your arrival is unexpected, but most welcome. Our homeworld is under siege by Dominion forces. They've bypassed our outer defenses and will begin planetary bombardment within hours. A new alarm sounded from the sensor station. Sir, multiple large vessels changing course. They're heading toward us. On the screen, Commander Seo's expression became urgent. Those are Dominion warships. They've detected your arrival. You must understand. Their policy is to eliminate any unknown species they encounter. You're in grave danger. Admiral Doyen exchanged glances with his officers, then turned back to the screen with determination in his eyes. So are you, Commander. Perhaps we can help each other. Tell us what you know about their tactics. It's time the Dominion learned that humanity doesn't abandon those who ask for help. Outside the view screen, the massive Dominion warships grew larger as they approached, their weapons ports beginning to glow with energy. Humanity's first contact was about to become humanity's first interstellar battle. The Pathfinder dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Tebek Nebula. directly into chaos. The other four Earth ships, Voyager, Discovery, Explorer, and Horizon, emerged moments later, their hulls gleaming against the colorful backdrop of swirling gases. What greeted them was not the peaceful first contact humanity had hoped for. A small damaged space station hung in the void ahead, surrounded by debris and the flashing lights of weapons fire. Three massive warships, each easily 5 times the size of the Pathfinder, circled the station like predators. 6 smaller ships darted between them, desperately trying to defend the station. The bridge of the Pathfinder fell silent as the crew took in the battle before them. Shields at maximum, Admiral Doyen ordered, breaking the stunned silence. Battle stations. Red alert klaxons blared throughout all 5 human vessels as crew members rushed to their combat positions. Sensors showed the station has suffered heavy damage, reported Science Officer Minnie. Life support systems are failing. I'm detecting approximately 300 life forms aboard. Tactical Officer Jiho studied his display. Those must be the beings who sent the message, he said, indicating the smaller ships. And those larger ships must be the threat they described. The Dominion, Doyen muttered. What's the status of their weapons? Energy readings suggest they're significantly more advanced than ours, Jiho answered. Their shields appear to operate on quantum principles we've only theorized about. Communications specialist Yumha's console lit up. Incoming transmission from the smaller vessels, she reported. On screen, Doyen ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing an alien face. 3 large eyes, set in a triangular pattern, dominated a slender face covered in iridescent scales. The being wore what appeared to be a formal uniform with symbols that might have been rank insignia. Universal Translator engage, Yunha confirmed. Ambassador Taiho's face showed clear surprise, his 3 eyes widening as he stared at the human bridge crew. You came. You actually responded to our call. The disbelief in his voice was evident even through the translator. Behind him, other aliens worked frantically at control panels amidst sparking electronics and emergency lighting. Admiral Doyen stood tall. I am Admiral Doyen of Earth. We received your distress signal and have come to offer assistance. Earth, Taiho repeated, the word clearly unfamiliar. We sent our message into the void with little hope. Your arrival is... He seemed at a loss for words. Your station appears heavily damaged, Doyen continued. We can. The transmission suddenly split, a second image appearing beside Taiho's. This new alien was bulkier, with gray skin stretched over a muscular frame. 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern glared from a face dominated by a lipless mouth filled with pointed teeth. Well, what have we here? The new alien's voice was deep and mocking. So the pathetic Concordat has found friends. How fortunate for me. Doyen's expression remained neutral. Identify yourself. I am Warlord Crag of the Dominion 3rd Fleet, the alien announced proudly. Soon to be master of this sector and, it seems, the first to make contact with your primitive species. His laughter echoed through the channel. Another primitive species to subjugate. Your ships are even more pathetic than the Concordats. On his side of the transmission, Taiho's expression filled with dread. Admiral, you must leave immediately. The Dominion will destroy your vessels. They show no mercy, Toe. Silence. Crag bellowed. Your new friends will share your fate, Concordat wretch. His attention returned to Doyen. I offer you one chance, human. Depart immediately or be destroyed with these weaklings. The bridge crew of the Pathfinder exchanged glances. This was not how they had imagined first contact. Admiral Doyen studied the Dominion warlord for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. Lieutenant Sunwoo, deploy the mirror drones, he ordered calmly. Commander Shunho, prepare the electromagnetic pulse arrays. Let's show them how primitives fight. Warlord Crag barked another laugh. Your primitive technology cannot hope to. Doyen cut the transmission with a gesture. Communications blackout. All ships execute Maneuver Delta. The 5 Earth vessels suddenly split apart, moving in seemingly random patterns that would make targeting difficult. Mirror drones launching, reported Lieutenant Sunwoo. From each human ship, dozens of small metallic spheres shot into space, quickly spreading throughout the battlefield. Each was barely larger than a basketball, but contained sophisticated electronics. Drones in position. Sunwoo confirmed after 30 seconds. Begin Phase 1, ordered Doyen. The drones activated simultaneously, each projecting a perfect holographic copy of an Earth ship. Where there had been 5 vessels, there now appeared to be 30, all identical down to the smallest detail, including false energy signatures and heat emissions. On the Dominion ships, alarms blared as their sensors suddenly detected multiple new threats appearing from nowhere. Phase 2, Doyen continued, his voice steady. The real Earth ships and their holographic duplicates began a complex dance, weaving between each other so rapidly that distinguishing real from fake became nearly impossible. Meanwhile, Commander Chunho's team activated the electromagnetic pulse arrays, devices developed originally for peaceful mining operations, but repurposed for this mission. EMP charged and ready, Junho reported. Target the lead Dominion vessel's primary weapons array, Doyen ordered. Fire. A barely visible wave of energy pulsed from the Pathfinder, striking the largest Dominion warship precisely where its main weapon was mounted. The massive cannon, which had been charging to fire, suddenly went dark. Direct hit, Geo reported. Their primary weapon system is offline. They're switching to secondary arrays. All ships, execute Phase 3, Doyen commanded. The 5 Earth vessels suddenly broke formation, each heading directly toward a different section of the Dominion fleet. The holographic copies followed, creating confusion as the Dominion gunners tried to determine which targets were real. They're firing. Sunwoo shouted. Beams of energy cut through space, hitting several of the holographic ships, which flickered momentarily before the drones adjusted their projections to simulate damage rather than disappearing. Horizon, target the second warship's propulsion systems, Doyen ordered. Voyager and Discovery, focus EMP pulses on their communication arrays. Explorer, protect the Concordat station. The battle unfolded with surprising speed. The Dominion ships, designed for overwhelming force against predictable enemies, struggled to adapt to the humans' unconventional tactics. Their powerful weapons were useless if they couldn't distinguish real targets from fake ones, and the precisely targeted EMP pulses disabled key systems without destroying the ships outright. Admiral, Yuna called out. Ambassador Teho is hailing us again. Put him through, Doyen replied, never taking his eyes off the tactical display. Taho's face appeared, his 3 eyes wide with amazement. What technology is this? The Dominion fleet is in disarray. Just a few tricks we developed, Doyen replied modestly. We've temporarily disabled their primary weapons and communications. Can your ships assist in evacuating the station? Yes, but Taho hesitated. The Dominion will regroup. Their technologies adapt quickly. As if to confirm his warning, one of the Dominion warships began firing in a wide pattern, attempting to hit all possible targets at once. Horizon reports minor damage to aft shields, Cho announced. Doyen nodded grimly. They're learning. Time for our final surprise. Commander Chunho, are the Nanak missiles ready? Armed and targeted, sir. Fire. Small, unimpressive missiles launched from the Earth ships, heading toward the Dominion vessels. The Dominion point defense systems easily detected them, but considered them too small to be significant threats and focused on the larger perceived danger of the Earth vessels. This was a fatal miscalculation. When the missiles detonated near the Dominion hulls, they released clouds of microscopic robots. Nanites programmed to infiltrate electronic systems and temporarily rewrite their programming. Within minutes, the Dominion ships' weapons turned inward, targeting their own shields and propulsion systems. Confusion reigned as their crews lost control of their own vessels. On the bridge of the Pathfinder, a cheer went up as the largest Dominion warship's engines shut down completely. Warlord Crag is hailing us, Yunhe reported, unable to keep the smile from her face. On screen, Doyen ordered. Crag's face appeared, his 4 eyes narrowed with rage and disbelief. What have you done to my ships? This is impossible. Not impossible, Doyen replied calmly. Just unexpected. Your fleet will regain control of its systems in approximately 1 hour, enough time for us to evacuate the Concordat station and depart. I suggest you use this opportunity to reconsider your approach to interspecies relations. He cut the transmission before Crag could respond and turned to his crew. Begin rescue operations immediately. Let's show the Concordat that humanity knows how to make a proper introduction. As the Earth ships moved to assist the damaged station, Ambassador Tejo watched in wonder. The galaxy had just changed forever, and the name Earth would soon be known across the stars. Not as conquerors like the Dominion, but as something altogether more remarkable. Unexpected saviors who turned weakness into strength and fought not for domination, but for those who needed help. 2 weeks after the battle at the Tebek Nebula, the main laboratory aboard the Concordat refuge station buzzed with activity. Humans and aliens worked side by side, surrounded by disassembled technology and holographic diagrams floating in the air. The station, hidden deep within an asteroid field, had become the headquarters for the newly formed alliance. Science Director Jiwoo moved her 3-fingered hand through a hologram displaying the inner workings of a human stealth drone. Her scales shimmered under the bright laboratory lights as she turned to Engineer Gunbin, who was explaining the device's function. "Your technology is remarkable," said Jiwoo, examining the human stealth systems. "The principles are surprisingly simple, but we never thought to apply them this way." Hyunbin smiled, still not entirely used to the alien's triangular face and 3 blinking eyes. "Simple can be effective. Sometimes the best solutions aren't the most complex. But your tactics," Jiwoo continued, her translator converting her musical language into human speech, "they're revolutionary. The Dominion expects direct confrontation. They've never encountered, what did you call it?" "Asymmetric warfare," replied Engineer Gunbin. "Guerrilla tactics, fighting smart instead of just with brute force." Across the laboratory, Admiral Doyen stood with Ambassador Tao, watching their teams work together. Despite their physical differences, Tejo's avian features contrasting sharply with Doyen's human appearance, they had quickly developed a strong working relationship. "Your people adapt quickly," Tejo observed. "Most species find it difficult to work with other life forms so different from themselves." Doyen nodded. "Humans have always been good at adaptation. It's how we survived on Earth. But I'm equally impressed by the Concordat. 3 completely different species working as one." "Necessity," Tahoe said simply. "The Nari, Suk, and Huan all faced extinction alone. Together, we survived until the Dominion came." A door slid open, and more representatives entered the conference room adjacent to the laboratory. General Minji led the human military contingent, while delegates from all 3 Concordat species took their places around a large circular table. "The War Council is beginning," Doyen noted. "Shall we join them?" Inside the council chamber, the mood was tense but hopeful. Holographic displays showed the current position of Dominion forces, still searching for the Concordat refugees, but, so far, unable to locate the hidden station. Ambassador Tejo addressed the Human Concordat War Council. "For 1,000 cycles, the Dominion has conquered through superior firepower and their rigid battle doctrine. They've never needed to adapt." Admiral Doyen nodded. "And that's their weakness. They don't understand unpredictability because they've never needed to. We'll hit them where they never expect, their command structure itself." General Minji stepped forward, activating a new hologram that displayed a complex network of connections. "From the data provided by the Concordat, we've analyzed the Dominion's command structure. Unlike human military systems, which can operate independently if central command is disabled, the Dominion relies on a strict hierarchy. Their system is designed for efficiency, not resilience," added Captain Mayun, the human intelligence officer. "Each ship receives specific orders from above and expects precise execution from below. There's little room for initiative or adaptation." Nari Representative Hansel, a plant-based being whose skin photosynthesized light, raised a vine-like appendage. "We've tried attacking their command ships before. Their defenses are impenetrable." "We're not proposing a direct assault," Admiral Doyen clarified. "We're suggesting something they won't expect: infiltration." A murmur ran through the Concordat representatives. The concept seemed to surprise them. "Infiltration?" asked Suk Delegate Minnow, his aquatic body suspended in a water-filled environment suit. That's impossible. The Dominion would recognize any of our species immediately. But they've never seen humans before, Doyen pointed out. They know we exist now, but they have little information about us. Science Director Ju's eyes widened in understanding. You're proposing to send humans disguised as Dominion personnel. Not exactly, Engineer Hyunbin said, standing to activate another holographic display. This one showed what appeared to be a standard Dominion communication device. We've been studying the captured Dominion equipment. Their communication system relies on quantum entanglement, instantaneous transmission that can't be intercepted. Which is why we've never been able to anticipate their attacks, Ambassador Teo noted. Exactly, Hyunbin continued. But quantum entanglement has a weakness. It requires precise calibration. We believe we can create a device that mimics their communication signatures, but subtly alters the commands being sent. General Minji took over the explanation. Meanwhile, a small team would infiltrate their main relay station, not to destroy it, but to introduce our device into their network. The council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. One military commander, Jawo, was the first to speak. You want to feed false orders into their command network, make their own ships act against their interests. Precisely, Admiral Doyen confirmed. No direct confrontation. No battles we can't win. Just confusion in their ranks and distrust in their chain of command. Ambassador Taiho's feathered crest rose in what the humans had learned was an expression of excitement. It could work. The Dominion's strict hierarchy is based on absolute trust in the system. If that trust is broken, their entire structure could collapse. Finished Nari Representative Hansel. Brilliant. But reaching their relay station will be extremely dangerous, cautioned Suk Delegate Minnow. It's located in the heart of Dominion territory, heavily guarded. That's why we'll need a diversion, Admiral Doyen said. Something big enough to draw their attention, but not so threatening that they commit all their forces. Science Director Ju's three eyes blinked rapidly, her species equivalent of a thoughtful frown. The abandoned mining facility at Kadesh. It's valuable enough to protect, but not crucial to their operations. Perfect, General Minji agreed. We'll make them think we're after the mining equipment. Meanwhile, the infiltration team slips in elsewhere. The planning continued late into the night. The combined human Concordat forces mapped out every detail: the diversion, the infiltration route, the exact modifications to the communication device. What had begun as an emergency rescue had evolved into a full alliance, with each species contributing their unique strengths. As the meeting finally concluded, Ambassador Tato approached Admiral Doyen in private. My people were skeptical when I sent that message into the void, Taiho admitted. They said no one would risk themselves for strangers, that even if someone received it, they would ignore our plight. Doyen smiled. Humans have a long history of both great cruelty and great compassion. In our past, we've sometimes failed to help each other. Perhaps that's why we were so determined to answer your call, to prove to ourselves that we could be better. Whatever your reasons, Tahoe said, placing a three-fingered hand on Doyen's shoulder in a gesture he had learned from the humans, we are grateful. And after we defeat the Dominion, I hope our peoples will remain friends. Friends, Doyen agreed, and perhaps teachers to each other. There's much your people could show us about cooperation between different species. Outside the viewport, the stars shone steadily against the blackness of space. Somewhere among them, the Dominion continued its relentless expansion, unaware that its greatest challenge would come not from superior firepower, but from something its rigid hierarchy couldn't comprehend. The unpredictability of human innovation combined with the resilience of the Concordat's cooperative spirit. The next day, the mission would begin. For now, human and alien alike rested, preparing for the battle ahead. Not a battle of brute force, but of wit and will fought in the shadows and across the invisible networks that bound the enemy together. A battle that would change the galaxy forever. Commander Shunho pressed his body against the cold metal wall as a Dominion patrol marched past. His team of 6, 3 humans and 3 Concordat operatives, had infiltrated deep into the massive Dominion communication hub. So far, their disguises and forged identification codes had worked perfectly. The diversion at the Kadesh mining facility had drawn away most of the security forces, just as planned. Clear, whispered Sion, the team's technical expert. Her fingers danced over a small device that jammed nearby surveillance systems. Shunho nodded and motioned the team forward. They moved silently through the dimly lit corridor toward the central processor room, the heart of the Dominion's command network. For 3 days, they had worked their way through the station's outer sections, planting small quantum virus modules at key junction points. 2 minutes until the final diversion, reported Dongyun, checking his wrist display. Precisely on schedule, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed as an automated voice announced a radiation leak in the lower levels. "That's our cue," Juno said. As the remaining guards rushed to respond to the false emergency, the infiltration team slipped into the central processor room. The chamber was massive, a cathedral of technology. Towering columns of servers pulsed with light, while holographic displays showed the status of thousands of Dominion vessels across the galaxy. "Begin the upload," Juno ordered. The team worked quickly, connecting their devices to the main system. Sion's fingers flew across her specialized interface, bypassing security measures and inserting the final critical virus into the Dominion command network. "Upload complete," she announced after several tense minutes. "The virus is spreading. It will reach the flagship in approximately 10 minutes. Time to leave," Junho said, already moving toward the exit. "The chaos will start soon." Across the galaxy, Admiral Doyen stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder, watching as the combined human Concordat fleet engaged the Dominion forces near the Kadesh sector. The battle was massive, nearly 40 Concordat ships fighting alongside the 5 human vessels against more than 60 Dominion warships. "Status of the infiltration team?" Doyen asked. "They've completed the upload and are proceeding to the extraction point," reported Communications Officer Yuna. "And the virus?" Tactical Officer Jiho monitored his displays. "Spreading through their network now, sir. We should see effects momentarily." The battle outside was fierce. The Dominion's superior firepower was balanced by the humans' unpredictable tactics and the Concordat's intimate knowledge of the sector. Still, they were outnumbered, and several Allied ships had already taken heavy damage. "Sir," Joe called suddenly, "I'm detecting unusual communications between Dominion vessels. Their formation is breaking." On the main view screen, the perfect Dominion battle formation began to falter. Some ships veered off course, while others stopped firing altogether. Confusion spread through their ranks as contradictory orders flowed through their command network. "It's working," Doyen said quietly. The flagship of the Dominion fleet, a massive dreadnought that dwarfed even the largest Concordat vessels, suddenly began firing on its own support ships. Its weapons, meant to destroy enemies, now targeted allies as the quantum virus rewrote command protocols and scrambled identification systems. "The virus has reached their flagship's core systems," Shill reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. "Their command structure is collapsing." Doyen opened a channel to all Allied ships. "This is Admiral Doyen. The Dominion command network has been compromised. Press the advantage but prioritize disabled vessels over destruction. We want surrender, not annihilation." The battle's tide turned quickly. Without clear orders, many Dominion captains fell back on their training. Follow the flagship's lead. But the flagship was now behaving erratically, its systems compromised beyond recovery. When its main reactor began to overload, panic spread throughout the Dominion fleet. The Dominion flagship exploded in a brilliant flash as their command network collapsed. Commander Shunho's infiltration team had planted quantum viruses throughout their communication systems, while the main fleet created a diversion. "Their entire hierarchy is paralyzed," reported Tactical Officer Jiho. "The rest of their fleet is standing down or retreating." Within an hour, the battle was over. Nearly 30 Dominion ships had surrendered, their crews confused and leaderless. The rest had fled, many on courses that would take them far from Dominion space. Extraction team reports successful retrieval of Commander Shunho and all operatives, Yunha announced to cheers from the bridge crew. Admiral Doyen allowed himself a small smile. "Send word to Earth and all Concordat worlds. The Dominion threat has been neutralized. 3 months later, the newly constructed peace station orbited the neutral world of New Harmony. Representatives from Earth, all three Concordat species, and even former Dominion worlds gathered in the Grand Assembly Hall. The station, built with combined technology from all involved species, symbolized the new era of cooperation. Admiral Doyen, now serving as Earth's ambassador, walked with Ambassador Tahoe through the crowded corridors. "Did you ever imagine this outcome when you sent that desperate message?" Doyen asked. Tahoe's feathered crest rippled with emotion. "Never. We hoped for rescue. Perhaps military support. Not all of this." The assembly hall fell silent as Tahoe took the central podium. Behind him, a massive window revealed the spectacular view of New Harmony below, a world being jointly developed by all species as a shared capital. "Representatives of the galaxy," Tahoe began, his translated voice carrying throughout the chamber. "1 year ago, my people faced extinction. The Concordat stood alone against the Dominion, our worlds falling one by one. In desperation, we sent a message into the unknown, hoping against hope that someone might answer." He gestured toward the human delegation. "What happened next changed the course of galactic history. A species we never knew existed, a species that could have ignored our plea, chose instead to risk everything to help strangers. When we sent our message, we hoped for allies. What we found instead was something the galaxy has never seen. A species whose strength isn't in their weapons, but in their creativity, their adaptability, and most surprisingly, their compassion."